Hello, I'm Steven,
No, I'm Aaron.
and we've just seen Scream
Scream 7.
7, new film that's out in theaters right now, starring Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox, and it is directed by Kevin Williamson. All right, so this is the seventh installment in the Scream series, and the plot is self explanatory. You know what happens. Ghostface is back, he's killing people, he's got to be stopped, and in the end, he will be unmasked. But the stakes are a little higher this time because Sydney now has a daughter and a husband who I honestly, legitimately do not remember if they were in the other two movies. Plus, a figure from Sydney's past has seemingly risen from the grave and is sending threatening messages to Sydney through FaceTime. Is it real or is it AI? This is Scream 7. What did you think?
I really liked the movie right up until I didn't. I think you and I probably have a similar, at least I would think, opinion of when the movie turns into Schlocksville.
Here's the thing. I think this movie kind of sucks, like in general, and we'll get into why. But I also kind of loved it because I think we have officially reached Halloween 6, the Curse of Michael Myers levels of we don't give a shit
Yeah,
anymore.
there comes a point about halfway through this movie where they just stop trying to do anything interesting or thematic or dramatic with the characters and some of the ideas they're playing with, and it just completely jumps into crazy town silliness.
First of all, the first Scream was good. I liked it. I thought the second one was even better. The third one was complete dog shit.
Yeah,
Fourth one was bad, but it was a step in the right direction. Definitely improvement over three. Five was pretty good. I enjoyed six, but even with that sixth one, I was just thinking, okay, God, it's enough already. And now there's a seventh, and I had a great time watching it, but
yeah,
my God, it's bad.
yeah. That's kind of the thing is, for the most part, most of these are enjoyable to watch, but this franchise has just gone on for so long, and there's hardly any new ideas that they have to play with. So it's kind of disappointing that when they get to this one and there actually are some interesting and neat ideas that they could really dive into, that they're kind of just wasted just to do the same old silly Scream stuff we've seen a million times.
One of the big issues I really had with this thing is that it is so structurally loose. I feel like there's more of a I guess you could call it a formula. So in a way, this kind of breaks that. But
Yeah,
there's a structure to the way these things play out. This one feels so loose, and like there comes points where all the characters are just in disparate places, just sitting around, just talking.
well, I mean, that's kind of the formula though. It's you've got the opening 5 or 10 minutes, which establishes that hey, there's a new ghost face. Then you have the first act, which introduces your main characters and them coming into contact and realizing that hey, Ghostface is back, and then you got the middle section, which is the everybody's a suspect, we need to investigate. Meanwhile, people are dropping like flies one by one. Then you have the third act, which is the reveals and who's the Ghostface and all the twists and turns. I felt like this followed that pretty much exactly.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like the middle part of the movie, there's just a big stretch of just randomness, just things happening, just kind of nothing. And in regards to the kills, like a lot of these characters we know for like one scene before they're dead, which you don't really have any opportunity to latch onto any of them.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. Is
And then there comes a point where there's two characters who we've seen sporadically throughout the movie. They are suddenly just thrust into an immediate like romance that comes out of nowhere, unless you already forgot what I'm talking about.
I are you talking about the creepy dude and the one girl?
Yes.
Yeah, I felt like that was just like a throwaway thing. They didn't really even bother to make that an actual thing.
So why even put it here?
I don't know, just to give the characters character, I suppose.
Fail.
Yeah. So the things I liked about it, I really like Nev Campbell in this because of course she's like the glue to this franchise. Even though they had another protagonist that we could have been following if the studio actually had some balls and stood by their actors and actresses. But she's back again, even though we kind of ended her story already. And they find, I thought, something kind of interesting for her to do. Like she has a daughter, like you said, and her daughter is like 17. She's the same age that she was all those years ago when all this stuff started. And the daughter doesn't really feel like she knows her mom because she doesn't talk about her stuff because it's very traumatic for her. And especially at this age, it's hard for her to relate because it would just bring up all this old stuff that she has gone through and she doesn't want to talk about anymore. So there's a lot of conflict between Sydney and her daughter, Tatum. And I thought that stuff was really interesting in a good way to progress this character and mature it, have a follow through on the story that we've seen this entire time. And even the stuff with Ghostface and bringing back, like you said, an old character from her past. There's like some really interesting stuff that you can do with that, especially with the conversation. Like you said, like is it actually this person or is it like an AI creation where this stuff is getting really hard to suss out, like what's real and what's not.
That actor who comes back is just having a ball in his
Yeah,
scenes, and I enjoyed every time that guy was on screen.
yeah, which is yeah, exactly. It's nice to see them back, and it's fun to watch the stuff that they do. I guess we're not gonna really spoil too much, even though they've pretty much explicitly stated who it is that's back,
Yeah,
and
people know who
pe-
it is.
people know already.
They've been speculating for years, and it's finally happening. Another thing that just kind of irritates me about this every time I see this is how Sydney, her experiences with the Ghostface Killer, the stab movies are like the center of everybody's universe.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm really getting tired of these movies doing is there's always somebody who's like obsessed with the movies and obsessed with Sydney and obsessed with it with like, oh, did you see Stab 1, 2, and 3? And it's there's like so many layers of meta now at this point that it's just kind of imploding in on itself.
There are two comments I read on the internet, both I agree with. One person said that this is more scary movie than it is Scream, which is
Yes,
true, and then
yes.
somebody else said that this series has officially become the in movie Stab.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like this is actually part of the Scream franchise anymore. It feels like an offshoot of an offshoot.
I think I remember joking to you a few years ago that I wanted to live to see a once respected horror series become a zombified version of itself that just falls into complete absurdity like Halloween did in the
Yeah, I was gonna
80s.
say Halloween is a perfect example.
Yeah, because I love most of those first 5 or 6 Halloween movies. They just fly so far off the rails into complete insanity, and we're kinda doing that with this with Scream, and that's why I had fun watching it.
Yeah, I did too for the most part, even though for like the first half of the movie, I was really into the characters and like I said, the kind of the drama and the thematic stakes and everything between Sydney and the daughter and the past coming back and stuff like that. And then there's kind of like a first act twist where it's like, oh, we are kind of going through the third act proceedings a little bit prematurely. But of course, that means that there's more to the mystery than we think. And then this is where Gail Weathers enters the picture.
Mhm.
And Courtney Cox is great. I love her character. It's always nice to see her. She's like, if Sydney's the glue, Gail Weathers is right there next to her.
Yeah, she was there for, Scream 6 when Neve
Hmm.
Campbell wasn't, 'cause, I guess the check wasn't big enough.
Yeah, but of course, when Gail Weathers shows up, that means it's time to investigate and we have to figure out what's going on. And then this is where the movie starts to take a turn into the absurd and
Th
they start to lose me.
Yeah, this is where I started to really see the curse of Michael Myers-ness of it start to creep in because
We go
what
to a mental institution.
yes, and what Gail and Sydney learned there,
It
a
is
lo
totally preposterous.
it's hysterically funny.
It
If it was just you and me alone in the theater, I might have been laughing hard at that.
Yeah, I couldn't help but just like, you just got to throw your hands up in the air and give up because clearly the screenwriters have all logic and all critical thinking is thrown out the window. They ask an orderly about a certain person that they're investigating, and the answers that he gives to these questions are so ridiculous and only beg even more questions. It's just like how did we not? How does any of this make sense? How are the characters not asking certain questions? If this is who he's saying it is, then how is this person gone unnoticed for so long? how they escape the authorities. None of it just makes there's no logic or sense to any of it. That pretty much follows through on that for the rest of the movie. There's all logic and sense thrown out the window in favor of silly scream antics with some, albeit very well staged horror sequences and kill scenes.
Yeah, there are a few very decent kill set pieces, or more importantly, there's a few legitimately thrilling moments here.
Yeah, they do a lot of playing with the environment in this one, and kind of obscuring Ghostface behind things or having him really be like spectral like.
And there comes a point in the movie where Ghostface's antics has resulted in the town being on curfew. So that gives you an explanation as to why there's nobody out helping whenever people are being chased through the streets by Ghostface.
Yeah, it's decently set up, and Ghostface tracking somebody through a basically a deserted town is something we haven't seen before, and it's pretty effectively shot and well set up in terms of like creating tension. There's another one inside of like a house that's being renovated, so there's like plastic curtains everywhere.
I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure there was a sequence in Halloween 6 that took place in a renovated house with plastic sheeting, but I could be
Probably,
misremembering it. As soon as I saw that plastic sheeting, I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
here's a horror cliche."
There's even like a take on the kitchen scene from Jurassic Park, but it feels different and kind of fun and interesting because it's
It's
Ghostface.
funny. I didn't even think of Jurassic Park when that scene happened.
Yeah. So all the set pieces are actually pretty fun to watch. And I like watching the characters do things. There's even some returning characters from the last two movies.
Yeah, they shoehorn Mindy and that other guy from 5 and 6 in as Gale Weathers' sound and camera
Camera operator.
operator.
Yeah, they're completely shoehorned in, but I'll admit I didn't really care because I actually kind of like those guys from those movies. But it is ridiculous that they're here to begin with.
No explanation whatsoever as to what happened to Tara and Sam.
No, there's even some kind of tongue-in-cheek dialogue about, "Oh, it's a good thing you sat out that last one, Sydney. It was brutal."
Yeah, yeah.
It's
What
like, are we talking about the quality of the movie, or are we talking about like the events of the movie?
That's the indication I got when Gale Weathers said that that was brutal. Like the quality of the movie was shit, and it's like 6 was actually okay.
Yeah, 6 wasn't that bad, and 5 was even better. And we're really talking when this is the script we're producing for
Yeah,
number 7.
it's like 3 was brutal.
Yeah,
Then you get to the reveal at the very end, which we won't say what it is, obviously. But my God, these motivations for Ghostface are getting
no,
more and more
they
ludicrous.
they totally shit the bed. Part of the appeal of this franchise is that you're supposed to kind of follow along and suspect people yourself and try to formulate possible motivations in your head for why they might be doing the things that they're doing. And then at the end, it's all revealed, and you would like to tie it up in a nice bow and have it, and you go, "Oh, okay, that's what it was all for. It makes sense." But here, it's like the most out of left field nonsense with characters you'd never expect. Well, one character that you wouldn't expect, and then one that you absolutely would if you had seen one of the scenes earlier.
There's always multiple Ghostface, and so one of them I kind of figured very quickly, okay, this is
Yeah,
where that's going, and then the other one is just like, wow, the one person who you wouldn't suspect because they have nothing to do with anything.
yeah, that's exactly right. They appear in like one, maybe two scenes. They have maybe 20 seconds worth of screen time.
Yeah, that's not a puzzle. That's just pulling shit out of your rectum.
Yeah, yeah, it's so lame. It also doesn't help that a lot of times with these characters, they will play them a certain way, but then in the reveals in the end, they all suddenly turn into stew.
Yeah,
They become crazy people.
that's something I was thinking of when we were watching Scream 6. It's like I'm so tired of like people in the beginning of the film being just, or normal, ordinary, well-spoken individuals, and then by the end of the movie, they're slobbering morons. You see, Sydney, the whole thing of it
Yeah,
is
they become mustache twirling villains and just completely insane people, unhinged and untethered.
it's freaking it's Sean Wayne's at the end of Scary Movie. But wait, there's more.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly, that's exactly right. But the thing about, like, Stu in the first one is that he was already kind of a crazy guy. That was his character. So when the reveals happened in the first movie, it was just like a heightened version of that because he's, telling everything. He's giving away all the secrets and the motivations. But the rest of this franchise, like you said, they will play their characters like completely straight, like normal citizens, like well-adjusted people, and then their brains just fall out of their head in the
Yeah,
climax.
that was really bad in Scream 6.
Yeah, he turned into a cartoon character. Is there anything else you liked about
Yeah, I like the kind of like the whole idea of Tatum feeling like she's timid, lacking in confidence, can't follow in her mother's footsteps, can't defend herself, and then she has to rise to the occasion. That was all right.
yeah, in Sydney kind of not passing along those traits because she's trying to bury this part of her past and not talk about it.
And then yeah, that one returning character. That was something I was not wanting to see for a long time, but when it happened, I was just like, I'm kind of enjoying this.
It's hard to talk about because obviously neither of us were satisfied with the reveals. Do you think the alternative would have been better?
Yes.
I do too.
Yeah, once you get to the end and you're like, okay, well, what you did here does not salvage the movie in any way, so you might as well have just stuck with what you already set up.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. It's like we've already pulled the trigger and we've gone this far. I feel like in writing the script, once you test out this idea, you had to have figured out that nah, this ain't working. We might as well do the other thing.
Yeah, and there's one scene in the movie where they're considering the possibility that maybe this returning person is AI, and we actually do see somebody generate this on their computer, their laptop, as a test.
Mm.
Oh my god, the visual was hilarious. That's right at a scary movie.
Yeah, just very badly done. It's always funny when people do technology stories and they clearly have no idea how the technology works.
Yeah, it's if nothing else, it's topical.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like there was more to be said.
So, what is your final number rating on a scale of 1 to 10?
See, we just watched the sixth one for the first time a few days ago, and I thought that that one had kind of shown that the series has run its course
Yeah,
by now.
I gave
And
I gave it a 7. You gave it a 6.
yeah, I was thinking a six for that. And I really liked the first half of this movie, but man, it jumps off a cliff and decides to not try and not care. It is enjoyable to watch. Most of these movies are. So I'm having a hard time with it. I really like the staging of the kills and the scares. I think they're really well done and it doesn't rely on jump scares as much as you would think. A lot of them are actually pretty well paced and well done.
I will say that even at this movie's worst, I still liked it better than 3.
Yeah, 3 is kind of the worst of the franchise to me. That movie is full scary movie.
Yeah, 3 is horrendous.
This one reminded me a lot of that just because of how meta it gets and how like inside baseball it kind of is. But it's bad. The second half of the movie just tanks the whole thing for me. So I'd probably give it like a 4. 4 or a 5.
Yeah, I was thinking 5 as well.
You think there'll be another one? And if
Yes, this movie made money.
oh jeez, okay, I didn't even look at the box office.
I think it actually has the highest opening of any Scream, so there's going to be an eighth.
Okay, so I think that kind of answers my next question. Does Nev Campbell come back again?
Well, most likely. This movie did well, so the budget's going to be higher, and so will her check.
Yeah. Just another note because we haven't talked about him. Joel McHale plays Sydney's husband in this movie. I like Joel McHale. I thought he was woefully miscast in this. Oh, you know what? Another thing I liked is that Ghostface gets his ass beat a lot in this movie.
Yeah, although they do the stupid thing where at one point he takes a fire extinguisher to the face, and that does nothing. But then he gets hit in the abdomen with a chair, and he falls down like a bitch.
Yeah, I do like how capable the protagonists are in this one compared to previous movies where sometimes they feel completely helpless.
Yeah, yeah, and at this point, you'd think people would just be walking around with a gun.
Yeah, just just carry around a like a machine gun or an assault rifle and just riddle these things with bullets.
I'm sure Sydney went out of her way to live in an open carry state.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I didn't care much for this. I thought there were some really good ideas, but kind of wasted potential.
Yeah, pretty much. The series is a parody of itself now, and before this, every time they were making a new Scream, I'm just like, "What's the point? We've said everything we need to say. It's done. It's just derivative at this point." But now, after this one, I'm like, "How much worse can it get?" I kind of want to see the fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure that she would, considering how public her exit was and the grounds that it happened on. But if they could pay dump trucks full of money to Melissa Barrera to beg her to come back to the series, and then have her and Nev Campbell star in like another one of these, and that one will probably make a ton of money because you got Nev Campbell, and then you've got the returning Melissa Barrera, who was shafted by the studio.
If they try to get Jenna Ortega, she might be too expensive at this point.
Yeah, yeah, but she might come back if they somehow convince Barrera, which I highly doubt.
So that's Scream 7. If you're a fan of this series, you might as well see it
You've
for this.
probably already seen it.
Yeah, see it for the sake of completion.
Hmm.